In Java, a stream is a sequence of elements that supports operations. These operations allow us to process a collection of objects in a functional way. In this tutorial, we're gonna see how to use streams and few of these operations. First, we're going to create our first stream, and in order to do that, we're going to use the class stream that is imported in the package Java util stream. After that, like any collection, we can use generics in order to specify which kind of data our stream is going to storage. In this case, we can use, for example, a string, and then we will have our first variable as stream. But then we can just initialize the stream with the method stream.empty. This will create an empty string that we can use instead of returning null. But we can use also transform a list into a stream, as it could be arrays.asList, and we can say Michael, Ryan, and Julia. So then we can just use dot stream. So in this scenario, we are transforming a list as a string. To see it more clear, we can just use and create a variable of a list and then use arrays as list to initialize our list, and then later we can use it again to use stream. But probably it will be easier to use stream.off and then using Michael and then using the values that we were using before as Michael, Ryan, and Julia. Also, we can use the builder that has stream inside in order to create in a dynamical way our string. They could be with the method builder and then calling add for each value that we would like to add to our stream, like Michael, then call add again, then Ryan, call add again, and then Julia, and then finally use the method build. As you can see, it's returning an error because it doesn't know which kind of object are we storing in this builder. So we need to specify with generics in the method builder. And after that, we create our stream of strings with the method builder. Now that we have our stream, what we can do is starting to using operations in order to manipulate of our elements. For example, what we can do, the method for each, the stream dot for each, that it consuming that we need to send a lambda to this method in order to print out our values in our program. If we run now the program, we can see on the console that this is printing out the elements because we are looping the stream with the values that we provided. In this case, it's Michael, Ryan, and Julia. The next operation that we can use is map. Map, it produces a new stream after an operation that we want to do to each element. For example, we want to use uppercase to each of the elements that we have in our stream. So now if we execute again, we can see that the values Michael, Ryan, and Julia is now uppercase. The method filter in the stream, it requires a lambda and is returning a stream that contains the values that we are specifying into the lambda function. For example, we could say that we would like to have every string that contains the letter L. So if we now run the program, we can see that just Michael and Julia is on the returning stream since Ryan do not contain L. Also, we can use the method sort where it is sorting our values or elements. If we now run the program, we can see that Julia is in the first place, then Michael, and then Ryan, because it's sorted by alphabet. And we can use again lambda in order to compare between the two values of when we are sorting. For example, we can say O1 compared to ignore case O2. If we execute now, we can see again that Julia, Michael, and Ryan is the sort because of the alphabet. But of course, streams do not just provide the operations in order to filtering, but it's also operations for matching. And for doing that, it's returning a Boolean. So in this case, we are using a Boolean is exist, and then we are going to use string dot, and then we're going to send again a lambda to indicate if any of these strings contains the letter X. And we are going to print out the result in the console. So if we run the program, we can see that it's false because any of these elements contains the letter X. But if we, for example, check if any of them contain the letter N and we run again, we can see that now it's true because Ryan contains the letter N. So it's going to match if any of them contains any specific logic that we specify in the lambda. Also, we can check with all match if all of them contains the letter N. And if we run now, it says false because all match is checking for each element the functionality that we specify if all of them is returning true. In this case, since not all of them contains the letter N, then it's returning false. But if we are using, instead of N, we are using the letter A, and we run again, it says true since all of them contains the letter A, like Julia, Michael, and Ryan. Also, we have non-match in order to specify if none of them match with the condition specified in our lambda. In this case, if we are sending A and we run the program again, it says false because no one do not contain the letter A. But if we use the letter X again and we run the program, it says true since none of them contains the letter X. If we would like to get an element from our stream, we can use find first, and then it's returning an optional of strings. And then we can get the value dot get in order to get the value inside of the optional. So since the first value is Michael, then it's Michael who is that it has been printed out on the console. Also, we can use find any in order to find any in a not deterministic way. So if we run again the program, it says Michael. The difference between find any or find first, find any is not deterministic and is used in order to maximize the performance in parallel operations, but multiple invocations on the same source may not return the same result. We can use reduce that help us enabling to produce a single result by repeatedly applying a function to the sequence of elements. So for example, now that we have reduced and we have the lambda with both values, we can use s plus a separator and then s2 in order to join them. So if we just now executing the program again, we will see that Michael is separate and Ryan and Julia is separated by the separator that we have added. Also, we can use the method count in order to count how many elements we have in our string. And for example, we can do value with the type long, and if we run now the program, we see that the value is 3, since Michael, Ryan, and Julia are the only elements that they are in the stream, so there are 3 elements, so count is returning 3. One thing to understand about streams is you can use operations one after another. We want to use filtering, and then for those who contains the letter L, and after that we have count, and we run our program, we can see that now is 2 instead of 3, since we are doing the filtering before the count, and then just 2 of them contains the letter L, that is Michael and Julia. And we can continue using different operations like map, sort, or any of them that we would like one after another. But that is specific stream types for numbers. For example, we can have int stream, that is a type of a stream that specify that our values are specific for int number. And instead of stream.off, we're gonna use int stream.off, and we're gonna say the numbers like 1, 3, 5, 8. And we can use different methods like max, that is returning an optional int in order to say the maximum value of all of them, that in this case is 8. So because of all of them, the highest is 8. Of course, we have also min, that is returning what is the minimum value of all of them, that in this case is 1, since 1 is the lowest. Also, we can use average, that is returning an optional double and then get us a double, and we can see the average of all of the numbers, that in this case is 4.25. Usually, we would like to transform our string in a list. In order to do that, we can basically call string.collect and sending them a collector, that in this case to list, and now we will have a list of a string that we obtained thanks to the stream. So now if we just run the program, we can see that our list is Michael, Ryan, and Julia. But of course, we can use also to set in order to return a set instead of a string as a collection, and we can see also the result there, or even we can just use joining. It's just combining all of the values all together, joining them. So if we use joining, now we can see that Michael, Ryan, and Julia is in one string. So as you can see, stream is kind of easy way to manipulate elements, as we could do it in a list, but more in a functional way, and it's easier to read and easier to manipulate. So I hope that you really liked the video. Just remember to let a like and please subscribe. And of course, if you have any comment or question, do not forget to let it in the comment section, that I will try to answer it as soon as possible. I hope that you really liked it, and I see you in the next video. Bye!